The following is a class on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 10, texts number 12 and 13, given by His Grace Shriman Sankarsana Dasathikari, recorded on June 7th, 2010, in Glen Park, Mauritius.
So, tonight we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, chapter number 10, texts number 12 and 13. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Arjuna uvāca.
Arjuna uvāca.
Paraṁ brahma paraṁ dhāma.
Paraṁ brahma paraṁ dhāma.
Pavitraṁ paramam bhavān.
Pavitraṁ paramam.
Puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam.
Puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam.
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum.
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum.
āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve.
āhus ṛṣayaḥ sarve.
Devarṣir nāradas tathā.
Devarṣir nāradas tathā.
Asito devalo vyāsa.
Asito devalo vyāsa.
svayaṁ śaiva bravishime. Arjuna said, "You are Supreme Personality of Godhead." We're going to begin Hindi, just like the other night. I'll read the whole thing and then you can do the Hindi. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asito, Devala and Vyāsa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the Mayavadi philosopher. For here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, becomes completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are paraṁ Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by His grace, Arjuna is accepting Him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these 2 verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand Him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. In the Kena Upanishad it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest for everything, and Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on Him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of Him. This constant thinking of Krishna is smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand His position and get rid of this material body. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as the Supreme Pure complies with the injunctions of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities of whom Narada is the chief. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon Him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with Him. He is the Supreme Existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puranas and histories. In all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described, and the Supreme Lord Himself also says in the 4th chapter, "Although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles." He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for He is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from Him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these 2 verses. This is called the paraṁ system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literatures, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Ditam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. So, sometimes people take this as a religious state. This Krishna consciousness is some religious state. But actually this is not, this is science. This is scientific reality. There is a supreme source of existence, and that supreme source of existence must indeed possess personality, otherwise how can personalities be manifest? Will you translate in Hindi?
Ça, la conscience de Krishna n'est pas une affaire qui est basée sur la foi. Il y a une affaire scientifique. La conscience de Krishna, il y a un procès scientifique, ça. C'est pas un procès qui est basé sur la foi ou quoi que ce soit. Alors, moi, la personne suprême, la personnalité suprême, je connais qu'il y a une personne ici.
They proudly declare that science is superior to scripture.
Alors, sa science, elle est même supérieure à la scripture.
But the science textbooks have to be rewritten every few years because they keep changing their opinion. What is the truth?
La science, il est changé tous les temps. Tous les temps, il reste changé.
Real science means conclusive knowledge. When you finally reach the end of knowledge, when it's now finally concluded, you see.
Vraie science, c'est quand on arrive à une conclusion finale. Ça, c'est la vraie science.
So if they've actually arrived at true knowledge, why do they have to keep changing their science books every few years?
Alors, c'est un scientiste, c'est pas une version scientifique, tout court. Parce que science veut dire qu'il y a une décision finale. Les sciences, c'est des sciences scientifiques, tout court.
Their scientific knowledge is not final knowledge.
Connaissance scientifique n'est pas une connaissance finale.
I one time attended a gathering of science students at the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida.
Une université en Floride, continuellement des sciences.
You translate everything? So, try to translate everything. The translator means whatever I say, you translate it. And that's what it means to be a translator. So, in this gathering, many science students were present.
Alors, dans sa assemblée-là, il y a beaucoup d'étudiants en sciences.
And a big PhD scientist came in and gave the lecture.
Il y a un grand scientiste, un PhD en sciences, qui lit le lecture à jour.
He told us there are black holes in outer space.
Il dit que dans l'espace, il y a un trou noir.
So I raised my hand at the end of the lecture and I said, is this a theory or is this a fact?
Alors, voilà, il lève la main, il pose une question, il dit ça, est-ce que ça est une théorie, ça, ou ça est une affaire qui est vraie, une fact?
And he said, I think it's a fact.
Alors, sa scientiste, il pensait qu'il y a une vérité.
And then I asked another question. I said, throughout the history of science, we have seen that one theory becomes popular for some time until it is replaced by another theory.
Alors, voilà, je réponds comme ça. Il connaît que dans la science, il y a une théorie qui, parfois, c'est en vogue, comme on dit. Après, quand il y a une autre qui est réunie, il y a ça éliminé.
So I challenged him, how do we know that your theory will not be replaced by another theory?
Alors, je challenge, il dit ça. Comment est-ce que tu as dit que ta théorie que tu peux dire là, il va être remplacé par une théorie un jour?
And he said, well, I hope it is, because then we will be making progress.
Alors, c'est la scientiste, ça veut penser qu'il est capable de remplacer. Et là, comme ça, nous pouvons faire progrès.
So just see the rascaldom.
Ça manque de l'intelligence.
He's claiming it is a fact.
Il peut penser que c'est la vérité.
And then 2 minutes later, he's saying, when it is proven wrong, that will be the progress of science.
Et là, il quand sa théorie que vous voyez là, vous prouvez qu'il est fausse, ça me permet l'avancement de science.
And they call this science.
Et je dirais ça science.
This is what they teach in the universities.
C'est une chose montée devant l'université.
There was one boy who lived in Mauritius. He was on my e-course. He was attending your programs at the Hare Krishna temple.
Il y a un garçon en Maurice qui suit malade sur une lecture à travers Internet.
He was a humble boy. He had faith in the scriptures and everything.
C'est un garçon très humble et qui a la foi devant śāśvataṁ.
Then he passed an exam and he went to a university in Canada.
Il passe l'examen, il a de l'université en Canada.
And after he got there, he heard all these scientists, and he became very inimical towards. He became very inimical towards the knowledge of Krishna consciousness.
Quand il est à l'université au Canada, il apprend la science, il écoute tout un lecteur dans la science. Et là, il commence à perdre la foi dans sa foi.
He thought the scientists know more than Vyāsadev.
Parce qu'il pensait qu'il y a un scientiste de plus beaucoup que Vyāsadev.
He was a regular attending in your Hare Krishna programs. As soon as he goes to university, he thinks Vyāsadev is wrong and the scientists are right.
Dans ce moment, il vient atteindre un programme d'antan. Et du moment qu'il est à l'université, il pensait qu'il y a un scientiste de plus connu que Vyāsadev.
He just recently wrote me a very offensive letter. I didn't even answer it. It was so offensive. So I see the danger of these universities. When these children go to the university, it's very dangerous for their consciousness.
Alors, un enfant quand il est à l'université, il est dangereux, de conscience.
Especially in the Western, in the America, you see.
Et spécialement dans un pays comme l'Amérique, un pays ouest.
That's why I want to give this proper education now, you see.
C'est ça qui m'a rasté de sa connaissance.
So you understand, this is not simply with some religious faith.
Alors ça qui m'a rasté expliqué, il n'y a pas une affaire qui...
This is scientific truth.
Il y a une affaire scientifique, il y a une vérité scientifique.
What does science mean?
Ça veut dire science.
Science means to know things as they are. That is science.
Science veut dire pour une petite chose, comment c'était.
So how do the scientists derive their theories?
Comment un scientiste développe une théorie?
They make some observation of what's happening in the world.
Alors, je fais une observation qui peut passer dans le monde.
They do some experiments.
Je fais de faire une expérience,
they make some observations,
de faire observation,
and then they make their theories.
après de faire cette théorie.
So in Krishna consciousness, we are also scientists.
Dans la conscience de Krishna, nous sommes un scientiste.
We do some experiment,
Nous sommes faire une expérience,
and we make some observation,
et nous faire une observation aussi,
and we can derive theory.
et là nous développons une théorie.
Just like we make experiment, we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Est-ce qu'on nous fait l'expérience, c'est nous faisons du Srimad Mahamanta.
This is our scientific experiment.
C'est ça une expérience scientifique.
And by performing this experiment, then we can observe the result of the experiment.
Quand nous faisons cette expérience pour Srimad Mahamanta, nous observons sur les faits.
We can see how our consciousness is transformed by the power of Krishna's name.
Et là nous avons trouvé comment notre conscience est transformée par la puissance de Krishna.
And then from that, we can derive theory, you see.
Et à partir de là, nous avons développé une théorie.
And that theory is confirmed by the great acharyas.
Cette théorie est confirmée par un grand
That this is
acharya.
not ordinary sound vibration.
Et ça son que nous sentons par Mahamanta,
This is Shabda Brahma.
n'est pas un son ordinaire.
And if you go deep enough into this experiment,
Plus en profond dans l'expérience de Srimad Mahamanta,
you will directly see God face to face.
et là directement, nous pouvons voir directement devant nous.
You will meet God personally. You will see Krishna.
Et là nous pouvons Krishna directement devant nous, face à face.
And then you'll have some very good scientific theories after you meet Krishna.
Et là quand nous voyons Krishna face à face,
You will personally realize
et là, personnellement nous réaliser
paraṁ brahma paraṁ dhāma pavitraṁ puruṣaṁ bhavān puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam ādi-devam ajaṁ. You will personally realize, you see.
c'est là personnellement nous réaliser ça verset Arjuna qui dit paraṁ brahma.
Just as Arjuna could see Krishna face to face, you will also see Krishna face to face.
C'est pareil comme Arjuna dit Krishna face à face. Nous aussi nous partons Krishna face à face.
Then it will not be some religious faith, it will be scientific reality, scientific truth for you.
Et là, il n'y a plus pas d'affaires qui nous basent sur la foi, il n'y a pas d'affaires qui scientifiques.
It's like Sir Isaac Newton, he saw the apple falling from the tree, he made some theory, the law of gravity, you see.
C'est pareil comme la loi de la gravité, une pomme tombée avec une théorie.
He became a very famous scientist for coming up with the law of gravity.
Et là, Newton, il devient un grand scientiste.
Just by seeing the apple fall from the tree. You see.
Mais pour observer une pomme qui tombait depuis le pied.
So if you take this chanting very seriously, you will personally see Krishna face to face.
Si nous pensons à Srimad Mahamanta avec la foi, nous pouvons Krishna face à face.
And you become a greater scientist than Sir Isaac Newton.
Et là, nous devenons un plus grand scientiste que même Newton.
Because you will know God personally, you see.
Aussi, là, nous pouvons voir personnellement.
It will not be said, well, do you believe in God? If someone asks you, do you believe in God? You think, what do you mean, believe in God? I have met God personally.
Et là, c'est une personne qui demande nous, est-ce qu'ils sont croient dans mon Dieu? Non, ils ne vont pas croire dans mon Dieu, ils trouvent mon Dieu personnellement.
You see, for the pure devotee, it's not a matter of religious faith.
Parce que pour un pur dévot, il n'y a pas d'affaires qui dépendent de la foi.
The pure devotee can see Krishna at every minute.
Un dévot qui est pur, il a tout Krishna en 5 minutes.
Premanjana chodita bhakti valochanena santaksa daiva hridayeshu valokayanti yang shama shundaramachintya ganasva rupam govindam ādi puruṣaṁ tamaham bhajami. He personally sees Krishna, Shama Sundar, within and without, everywhere.
C'est pur dévot, par contre, Brahma Samhita, il trouve Krishna même en dedans et même en dehors, partout sur Krishna.
But some say, well, no, Krishna is not the Supreme, Shiva is the Supreme.
Alors, et la personne dit que Krishna n'est pas la personne suprême, n'est pas Bhagwan. Alors, Shiva qui est la personne suprême.
It's like tonight we're in a Shiva temple, you see.
Par contre, dans Shiva.
Some people say, well, according to Shiva Purana, Shiva is the Supreme.
Mais la personne dit, d'après Shiva Purana, Shiva est le plus grand.
So according to your Purana, the Bhagavad Purana, Krishna is the Supreme, and according to our Purana, the Shiva Purana, the Shiva is the Supreme.
Avec Shiva Purana, the Shiva is supreme. And the Bhagavad Purana, Krishna is supreme.
So they say the truth is relative. For you, Krishna is the Supreme, and for us, Shiva is the Supreme.
Pour nous, Krishna is supreme, le plus grand, et pour eux, Shiva est plus grand.
But can there be two Supremes? Is that possible?
Est-ce qu'il y a des bhavān?
Can a country have more than two? Can you have two Supreme Courts that are equal?
Est-ce qu'il y a un pays où il y a la Cour suprême?
There has to be one Supreme Court for the country to function properly. So that means that Shiva and Krishna cannot both be the Supreme. One has to be the Supreme over the other one.
Alors, ça veut dire que Shiva et Krishna ne sont pas capables de suprême en même temps. Il y en a un qui est plus supérieur.
Now, Arjuna is saying here that Krishna is the Supreme.
Dans Bhagavad-gītā ici, Arjuna peut dire que Krishna est suprême.
What if somebody brings the argument from Shiva Purana? What will we say? This has been described by one of our Goswamis. I think it's Jiva Goswami. There are 18 Puranas. There are 6 for those in the mode of ignorance, 6 for those in the mode of passion, and 6 for those in the mode of goodness.
18 Puranas, il y en a 6 qui dans le mode de goodness, 6 dans le mode of passion et 6 dans le mode of ignorance.
And out of the 6 for the mode of goodness, there's 1 for those in the mode of pure goodness, and that's the Bhagavad Purana.
Alors, tout ça qui dans le mode de goodness, il y en a un là-dedans qui dans pure goodness, c'est le mode Bhagavatam.
The Shiva Purana is for those in lower modes of nature.
Alors, Shiva Purana, il faut une personne qui trouve dans
they can fix up in their idea that Shiva is the Supreme and devote to Shiva as the Supreme. The Shiva Purana is still within the modes of nature. It's within the modes of nature. One cannot become liberated by following the Shiva Purana. One can make progress. But real liberation only comes when you're beyond the modes of nature. So those who follow Shiva Purana, accepting Shiva Supreme, they can make some progress, but they cannot escape the 3 modes of material nature. They cannot become qualified to become completely purified of the tinges of the material nature. So this Bhagavad Purana is most important Purana. That is described very nicely in the Bhagavatam. That this Bhagavad Purana is completely beyond the modes of material nature. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun. And it has arisen after the departure of Lord Sri Krishna to his own abode. Accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. And those persons who take shelter of this Purana, they will become perfect in spiritual enlightenment. So we have all respect for Lord Shiva as Paraṁ Vaishnava, the topmost devotee of the Lord. But we never make this mistake of thinking that He is the Supreme Godhead. Actually, we can. There's clearly it is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam how Lord Shiva is worshipping Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality.
Dans le Srimad Bhagavatam, il est décrit comment Shiva il priait Krishna ou Vishnu.
So we take Arjuna's words here as the highest truth. And as Arjuna points out, it is confirmed also by great transcendentalists. Such as Narada, Asito, Devala and Vyāsa. Vyāsa is the compiler of the Vedic wisdom. He had compiled these other Puranas, but he was not satisfied. Because he had not made it clear that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that those who are under the influence of this dark age of Kali shall get light from this Purana and become qualified to go back to Godhead. So we should understand that this is not some religious faith, this is scientific knowledge. And putting full faith in these great acharyas, we should fully absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness. This would give the best service to Krishna. The best service to Shiva. The best service to Lord Brahma, to Durga, to Kali. Kali also.
And Kali.
So when you worship the lotus feet of Krishna, then you're serving all living entities. All the demigods, all living entities are served automatically.
Alors quand nous servions le lotus de Krishna, comme ça, nous servons tout ça va Devi Devta, nous servons tout entité vivant.
Because Krishna is the origin of everything.
Parce que Krishna est l'origine de tout affaires.
When you water the root of the tree, all the leaves and branches are nourished.
Pareillement, quand nous arrosons racine d'un pied, tout ça va bon sur le.
So when you give loving service to Krishna, automatically you're loving and serving all living beings.
Comme ça, quand nous faisons service à Krishna, nous faisons service pour tout entité vivant dans la terre.
So putting this full faith in Krishna,
alors avec toute notre foi dans Krishna,
we should fully absorb ourselves in serving Him. We should find out who is that pure devotee of Krishna. And we should surrender to Him as our spiritual master. Because Krishna wants us to take shelter of His pure devotee. In this way, by serving Guru and Krishna, we'll become perfect. We will personally experience God. At every minute. So I can ask now if there's any questions.
Yes. So how can I explain to somebody about Shivji and Sadashiv?
How can he explain somebody about Shivji and Sadashiv?
Who is that Sadashiv? Shiva, who is that Sadashiv? Shiva we've heard. Who is Sadashiv? The name I've heard, but I don't remember. Who is Sadashiv? Someone know who is Sadashiv? Look, I would look at in Prabhupada's books under Sadashiv. Let's see. Who is Sadashiv? Shiva I know. He is the demigod and he is one of the Guna avatars, Lord Shiva. Now Sadashiv, I don't remember. You can look, I would say look in Prabhupada's books. You can look for Sadashiv in Srila Prabhupada's books and explain that. I will give you some idea. Now, I don't remember. I know it's in Prabhupada's book somewhere. I can't remember. But the main thing is to understand that Lord Shiva is given all respect and honor as the topmost of all devotees. That's the main thing to remember. You see? That's the main thing. You should always be very respectful to Lord Shiva. He's a pure devotee. He is he has a Vaishnava Sampradaya also. You see? Those who worship Shiva as a Vaishnava Acharya, they are properly situated. For those who worship Shiva as the Supreme Lord to get their material desires fulfilled, they are not properly situated. Just like there's that famous pastime, Vikashura. He was worshipping Lord Shiva because he wanted material boons fulfilled. Everyone knows that story. Too many lines for translating now. So, any other questions? Yes.
Do you remember, like you were saying that we can meet Krishna face to face? So I remember I had been reading one of your lectures on the net, where you had explained like the amount of rounds that we chant with full sincerity. Like those who were doing 64 rounds at one time, with great devotees, they could see Krishna say about some 3.5 years. Some calculation you had given on that.
What is it?
See, he has read one of your lecture
Yeah.
on the net, where you have made some calculation concerning the number of japa that the devotee is doing from 16 to 64.
Yeah.
And he said that when they are doing more japa, then they can see Krishna face to face.
When you do more?
Yeah.
No, it's not. There's no quantitative formula that after so many mantras you get to see Krishna. I've never said that simply by quantitative chanting you can see Krishna. It's actually based on the quality of one's chanting. If you can say Hare Krishna purely even one time, Krishna will appear. So you have to chant.
Je peux dire qu'il pas dire comme quantité, tout nous est santé pour Krishna. C'est qualité que nous sentons qui est important. Même si nous sommes un nom de Krishna, avec prière avec le gâteau Krishna.
Then you may say, well, if one pure utterance is all I need, then I'll just really try hard and say it purely one time, and my business will be finished.
Comme ça, nous avons pensé que, ok, à partir d'aujourd'hui, nous sommes un tout au moins pur, nous sommes gâteau Krishna.
But it's not such an easy thing to chant Hare Krishna purely. You see, that's why we have to practice.
Mais ça fait aussi facile pour le garçon, et même un nom de Krishna pur. Après ça, nous devons pratiquer tous les jours, chanter tous les jours.
So by that practice every day, at least 16 rounds, and if you can chant more, that's better. But then by that practice, and gradually you can perfect your ability to utter the name with pure love.
Parce que ça, quand on descend tous les jours, 16 tours, parce que le garçon plus, il veut pratiquer. Comme ça, un jour, le garçon, au moins,
because when you can actually utter that name of pure love, you will directly experience God in his name.
Et si il réussit son nom de Krishna avec tout l'amour, ça va directement pour les darshan de Krishna.
Next question. Everyone satisfied now? All questions are answered.
I have one.
Alright.
While practicing devotional service through doing japa every day, the devotee is advanced. And it happens that he continues, he reach 16 round, and then he may do more than 16, so he get advanced day after day.
He gets what?
He get advanced.
Yeah.
But we also have seen that sometimes advanced devotees who may have even taken initiation and who may have a been doing a lot of devotional service, but at times they abandon.
At times they
abandon.
They give
fall
up
down.
Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, they fall down.
Yeah. Okay.
So, can we say that they haven't seen Krishna? Or if they
Yes, of course they haven't seen Krishna. Someone who sees Krishna will never abandon Krishna consciousness. Someone who becomes qualified to meet Krishna face to face, they will never give it up. Someone who fell down, they may appear to be advanced, but they weren't that advanced. Someone who's actually advanced, they've never fallen down. Sometimes we think someone is advanced, but when they fall down, it becomes clear they weren't really advanced. Advanced devotee never falls down. One who's actually advanced in Krishna consciousness never falls down. Only the neophytes fall down, not the advanced devotee. So the so-called advanced may fall down, but he wasn't really advanced. That's why he fell down. You don't become advanced by number of years. You've been in the movement. You become advanced by pure bhakti within the heart. That's how you become advanced. Somebody can be advanced devotee immediately. Or they can chant for 100 years and not become advanced. It depends on the heart. Translation.
Prabhu posait une question qui, personne ne peut trouver qui peut être malade tout le temps, arriver à faire l'avancement, et là après une certaine moment, non abandonné. Est-ce qu'il s'appelle tout Krishna? Malade comme ça, non, ça personne pas tout Krishna. Parce que si une personne dit tout Krishna, jamais il va abandonner la conscience de Krishna. C'est une intention de Krishna. Et une personne n'est pas une advance pour combien l'année il fait partie. Comme il a dit de pratiquer. Une personne qui a tout de suite qui a une abandon. Pas nécessairement comme il a dit de pratiquer. C'est très important. Un pur niveau il pas tomber jamais abandonné.
Translator means whatever I say, you just translate it. Yeah. That's a translator. So, you can become advanced devotee immediately.
Est-ce que vous avez un niveau avancé tout de suite?
Simply chant Krishna's name with pure love in your heart, utter, complete surrender to Krishna.
Seulement pensant touchant ce nom avec tout l'amour et soumettre complètement à Krishna.
And then immediately you become advanced devotee.
Et là tout de suite nous trouvons un niveau avancé.
But if I have so many ulterior motives, well, I want to be recognized as a great preacher, I want this, I want that, and I'm chanting, you may not become advanced devotee for many years.
C'est une pensée qui a mon caractère un grand pécheur, un grand devotee. Et là, ça nous avance.
So just be a humble, surrendered soul. That's how you immediately become advanced. Any other questions? Okay, a question back here.
I've experienced so many changes. We have seen sannyasis and initiating gurus who had to leave ISKCON for a certain reason. I don't say that they have fallen, but was it an advanced devotees? Because I have gone through several books written by these senior devotees, like one book, Christ and Krishna, which when I read personally, I was very much impressed the purity that was in the book. But how is it that these devotees have to leave ISKCON? Was it not advanced devotees?
Yeah, he's telling that there are many devotees who are even initiating gurus. They have fallen down, and he mentioned the books he has read concerning the Christ and Krishna.
Who?
Christ and Krishna, the book.
Christ and Krishna, yes.
So he said that, but even he see that there are the initiating guru also fell down.
Yes. Well, it's actually Prabhupada mentioned in his books how a guru can fall down. Have you not read in Prabhupada's books? He describes it in his books. If a spiritual master accepts disciple, translation.
Cher Prabhupada, il expliquait aussi comment un gourou est capable de fall down, de tomber.
If a spiritual master takes disciples with a material motive of, followers, money, etc., then he will definitely be in danger of falling down. He may fall down. Prabhupada mentions.
Prabhupada explique qu'un gourou aussi acceptait un disciple seulement parce qu'il y a beaucoup de disciples, seulement pour une affaire matérielle. Le savoir est dans danger pour le fall.
Prabhupada actually mentions in his purport in the Upadeshamrita that there are three types of devotees. There's the Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Vinishta Adhikari.
Prabhupada mentionne qu'il y a trois types de dévots, trois catégories de dévotés.
He says that any one of those three types, he can become a spiritual master. Kanishta, Madhyam, or Uttam, all three of them. It's right there in Prabhupada's books. Any one of those categories, they can become a guru. And he says, so it's up to the disciple to pick a spiritual master who's an Uttam Adhikari. Because otherwise, the disciple will suffer under the insufficient guidance of the spiritual master.
Sinon, sa discipline, ils vont souffrir parce qu'ils n'ont pas assez guide de vie spirituelle.
So, when it comes to choosing a spiritual master, it's really on your shoulders. You should read Prabhupada's books. You should pray to Krishna and find that person. See that person that Krishna is sending you is actually an Uttama Bhakta.
Alors, sa responsabilité pour sa jeunesse spirituelle, il reste sur nous. Nous responsables pour notre éveil spirituel. Alors, si nous développons comment Krishna, il pourra faire pour nous.
Bali Maharaj rejected his guru.
Alors, Bali Maharaj il rejette son guru.
Shukracharya. Why did he reject his guru?
Il rejette son guru.
His guru said, don't worship Vishnu.
Son guru lui a dit, pas besoin de prier Vishnu.
His spiritual master had always said to worship Vishnu. His spiritual master had always said to worship Vishnu. But when Vishnu came as Vamanade, for the 3 steps of Lent, he said, now don't worship Vishnu.
So
the disciple should be well learned in Vedic wisdom. He should study the Prabhupada's books very carefully. If the guru speaks against the Vedic conclusions, he can be rejected by the disciple. One should not be a blind follower. One should know what is the Shastra conclusions. And carefully choose a spiritual master who is perfectly in line with the Vedic scriptures. One does not automatically become advanced by having some position as guru or sannyasi.
Une personne ne dit pas une personne avancée seulement pour une position de sannyasi ou un guru.
There's only one way that somebody becomes an advanced devotee. There's only one way somebody becomes an advanced devotee. That's by developing love for Krishna. It's the only way. It's not by sannyas, not by being guru. Only by developing love for Krishna does a person actually become an advanced devotee.
Seulement pour un amour pour Krishna, une personne est capable de qualifier pour un advanced devotee.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
What are your comments on competition and how beneficial is competition in Krishna consciousness?
He's saying, how beneficial is competition in Krishna consciousness?
Yes. How beneficial is competition in Krishna consciousness? So, it's interesting. I have some personal instruction from Prabhupada in this regard.
Alors, la question est très intéressante. Alors, il y a une instruction directe sur Prabhupada de sa issue.
Because I joined in a temple that was a very remote temple. Prabhupada actually wrote me, he offered to come to our temple, but my temple president was scared to have him come, so he didn't invite him to come. Prabhupada wrote me offering to come to our temple, but our temple president was scared to invite him. Because he was afraid, well, we might commit some offense, we better not invite Prabhupada. It's a stupid mistake. So Prabhupada never came to our temple. But I used to meet all these devotees who Prabhupada came to our temple, and we went at the darshan, we went for the walk. I mean, I was so envious, I couldn't stand it, And I knew you're not supposed to be envious of your godbrothers, You're not. No. You can't be envious. You have to be non-envious. I was so envious. It was driving me crazy. So I wrote Prabhupada, I said, Srila Prabhupada, I have this problem. I'm envious of my godbrothers because they get to have your association and I don't. I said, Srila Prabhupada, how can I get rid of this envy? And Prabhupada really surprised me with his answer. He didn't tell me to get rid of the envy. What he wrote me was this. He said, transcendental envy means that when you see someone is pleasing Krishna more than you, you should try harder so that Krishna will notice you also. So that is transcendental competition, you see. I can see, this devotee is getting so much mercy from Krishna. Let me try harder so I can also get some of that mercy. You see. So there is nothing wrong with transcendental competition. But keep it transcendental, okay?
Yeah, this is what I wanted to say. Does jealousy not become a hurdle in Krishna consciousness now?
Jealousy should not become a hurdle.
Thing is, you don't put the other devotee down. You don't minimize the other devotee. There's some devotee who preaches better than me, you see. I think instead of thinking, trying to find fault with his preaching, don't do that. Try to appreciate his preaching, how wonderful this devotee is preaching. But then let's see if I can preach even better. That's good. That's very good. But you're always appreciating the other devotees. You're never trying to find fault with them. That's transcendental competition. Look at the Kshatriyas in the Vedic days, the Vedic age. They'd be fighting in the battlefield. They would see an enemy soldier who was fighting with great valor. They would appreciate, even though he was their enemy, they would be, he fights with such great chivalry. See what a great fighter he is. You see, even though they were fighting to the death, he's the enemy, but they're appreciating his wonderful fighting skills. You see, this is Vedic culture. Even your competitor, you're appreciating how wonderful he is.
Même ça, toute la Védique, même dans la guerre quand l'ennemi peut la guerre, sa personnel, il trouvait que ça allait bien, avec beaucoup de bravoure, avec beaucoup de courage.
Just like I have some godbrothers, that we've sometimes had some conflict in our preaching. You know, there's some conflict, some overlap in our preaching, and there created some conflict. But I always appreciate their great qualities and their great preaching skills. Even though we had some conflict, I never think, oh, they're not very good devotees. I appreciate they're very wonderful devotees.
Ça, c'est un conflit, c'est un dollar, mais tout le temps, c'est apprécié, c'est un dollar. Je suis de la façon, il a apprécié le dévot. Il peut faire bien, il a apprécié, il peut faire très bien.
So this is my second to the last lecture now. We're getting ready to head on to South Africa again, into Malaysia on Wednesday morning, and we appreciate very much how you all are carrying on with Srila Prabhupada's movement here in Mauritius.
Semangat so abo dari kelas di PKA, so di Yemen punya open class, so ternyata kita tadi. Alors, il y a la marche par Sud-Afrique, puis par Malaisie. Malaisie est bien content qu'il monte un niveau ici.
Please take this process very seriously.
S'il vous plaît, prends ce procès-là avec beaucoup de sérieux.
Cultivate pure bhakti within your hearts.
Cultive vraie bhakti dans votre cœur.
And preach with great enthusiasm to make this entire country Krishna conscious.
Et preach avec beaucoup d'enthousiasme. On ne peut pas faire ça, Maurice, pays Krishna conscious.
How many of you are on my e-course? Thought for the day.
Alors, combien de personnes de get married sur
Raise your hand.
Sur Internet?
A few of you. Anybody who'd like to get on my e-course, you just go to www.backtohome, BACKTOHOME.com.
Est-ce que la personne qui regarde married sur une lecture en Internet, c'est d'avoir le website www.backtohome.com.
That way you can get something every morning in your email reminding you of Krishna consciousness. So we're coming back in December. We look forward to seeing you all at that time.